It is a gloriously sunny morning at Monza. Welcome everybody to GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup. It feels like it's been a long time since that opening round of the Endurance Cup at Paul Ricard. Well, this is, in a sense, a conventional round of the championship. After 6 hours going into the dark, 3 hours are ahead of us here. But there is a sting in the tail. Monza, gloriously fast circuit, and that means that, as was introduced a couple of years ago, we have a third mandated pit stop, and it's therefore one of the more strategic races of the year. It's one of the more confusing, it's one of the more fascinating, and in gloriously high and hot temperatures on Sunday for race day. We'll see what that proves, as well as being a factor around this glorious circuit. You can see in the sunshine early in the morning here, looking down from the drone over at the Ascari chicane. The trees are all in bloom, and perhaps never more has it looked like a parkland circuit. David Addison and Joe Osborne are trackside, and Joe, this is one of the old school circuits that the drivers love.
Yeah, they really do, and we've seen so much action, haven't we, here over the years. Last year, especially in the race, we had 3 safety cars, 5 full-course yellows. The gravel traps are close and the speeds are high, and that seems to be a recipe for some great GT racing.
Marshals are going to be busy. This is the calm before the storm, so once they've sorted out their mobile phone app, probably putting a bet on who's going to win, is it? Then they can concentrate on making sure that everything is good trackside. As normal, we have not only Pro, but also Gold, Silver and Bronze. They're looking down into the Gold Cup, the Frederick Schandorf Ferrari. It's another huge entry of cars, as we come to expect nowadays for Endurance Cup. 57 are on the entry list, with a number of drivers making their debut, although there is a very traditional lineup. Lukas Stolz, Mauro Engel and Lucas Auer. Mauro Engel coming here now as winner of the Nürburgring 24 hours and the Bathurst 12 hours. An amazing start to the season within the Intercontinental GT Challenge. He came to the press conference at Spa a couple of days after that Nürburgring win. As I said to him, I didn't recognise you without a trophy in your hand. He's had this amazing start to the season. One driver that's not had an amazing start to the season for the Boots and VDS team, Robin Knutsen, 2 races, and he's not done a lap either in sprint at Brands or in the Endurance Cup at Paul Ricard. He's hoping for better fortune this weekend. And that's the car, of course, that came not quite back from the dead, but certainly we'd rather ruled it out with a puncture at Paul Ricard. It won the race, the Mattia Drudi, Marco Sorensen, Nicky Tim, Aston Martin. How well, Joe, is an Aston going to be suited to Monza, though?
Yeah, the Aston is now it's in this second generation of Vantage. They seem to be getting on top of it, and it stays in the setup window for longer. And I think that's really what came to them at Ricard. They were fast in the day and then into night as well. Different story here at Monza. We race into the evening, but it will stay light and it's going to be hot. We've had track temps so far this week in the 50s. So this is going to be the main concern for the teams, is keeping the tyre in the window for that 52-minute stint.
97 Rutronic Porsche is the Ricky Perra, Antares Au and Sven Muller entry. We didn't see Sven drive at Ricard. He replaces Luke Hartog for the weekend. Garage 59 with another impressive lineup. The Pro Cup car is the Joseph Lowe, Dean McDonald, Marvin Kirchhofer entry, number 59. Very much, if you like, the star car, with the 59 on the door, and Dean McDonald behind the wheel. The free practice session is what we are getting set for here at Monza. There are 90 minutes on the clock. It's warm already. It's going to get a lot warmer. Of course, as Joe's made the point, we race just into the evening. The race starts at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. So every time the cars go on track over the weekend, they're almost in a different temperature zone, aren't they?
Yeah, this is most likely going to be quali sim. So this is what time qualifying will be tomorrow. So they had a free practice yesterday evening. That would probably be in their race sim. So they've kind of done it in the wrong order. They've done their race sim first, and now we're going to go to quali. Teams will only have a maximum of 2 sets of new tyres. The regulation allows them 7 sets of tyres, 5 of which are new, 3 have to be used in quali, thus leaving the 2 new sets. So 1 driver out of these 3 driver pairings will not get a new tyre run, and that will be the fight that was happening last night in the engineering booth. Which driver has to take the short straw?
And presumably that differs depending on which class you're in. For example, if you're in a Bronze Cup car, probably the pro gets the rough end of that deal on the basis that, well, you're the pro, you can drive around a problem. It's the AM there that needs to have the fresher tyres, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes how much love does that AM need? Maybe they're going to get both sets, and there's two pros in that car that are going to be unhappy, in inverted commas, because the boss is the guy paying for it. Also, you have to revolve it around him, and ultimately, like we say, that's where the pace is at. If you can find him half a second to a second, that's much, much more than a pro's ever going to find in that instance.
It's a very Porsche feel, isn't it, to the shot that we've got at the moment with the Alex Malikin 911, the white one, chasing after Rolfi Naikin. You've got the Ziggo Sport Tempesta entry behind Eddie Cheever at the wheel. And Eddie, who initially really made his name as a Ferrari specialist, but he is a bit more versatile, I think, than people give him credit for. And he is perhaps one of the more underrated drivers on this grid. He's been very loyal to Chris Froggatt's team, and therefore to whichever brand Chris Froggatt has chosen, largely Ferraris, but we've seen him in Mercedes and in McLaren and now Porsche. But Eddie Cheever has stayed with Chris Froggatt and is the fastest man in that car, whereas that car is the new Lamborghini. Luca Engschler is set to take it out, and this car, it's still a little bit behind the curve on the development, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Interestingly, last time out in DTM at Zandvoort, they were actually given a new bot that was outside of the window to try and help them get in the performance area they should be, because at Paul Ricard, both cars from Rutronic and also from Grasser were just nowhere, weren't they? It was strange to see those cars we're so used to seeing at the front, nowhere. So hopefully that learning curve you speak about, David, is accelerated now, and we get a couple more cars at the sharp end of this grid.
Now, this session, you talk about Quali Sim. What exactly are the teams going to be working towards? Are we talking setup? Are we talking mileage for the drivers? What are we doing?
It's just feeling the peak of the tyre. That's the biggest single positive you can learn. So the tyre, when it's brand new, is at its fastest. Some cars can only get one lap before you feel a drop of maybe half a second, just from a sheer lack of grip from there. And then it drops off over the next 4 to 5 laps. As you see, Marshall doing a good job catching that parasol. The wind has really picked up. We've had a couple of calm days wind-wise, but that tailwind into turn one, potentially drivers are going to get caught out there. But the whole point of the quali sim is the driver, the feel. What does this new tyre hit give me? Can I roll off the brakes slightly sooner than I could on the old tyre and keep that momentum up? And until you feel it, you don't know. It's guesswork at 260 miles an hour, 260 kilometers an hour, sorry, into turn one.
You talk about the fact here that the gravel traps and the barriers are close, and that is true, but it is a circuit where there are a fair few overtaking opportunities, yeah?
Yeah, the natural high to low speed lends it. So there really isn't a corner you can't overtake here at Monza. Turn one is the best. It's the highest to the lowest speed, so the braking zone is the longest. But into the second chicane, turn four, the Lesmos are always lunges, but we've seen moves done. Same at Ascari, then the parabolic of the final corner. You can send it down the inside, and we've even seen cars go around the outside there as well. So again, that's why it's a driver's favourite. It doesn't matter where you want to, you can overtake everywhere on this lap.
Now there is a car that has had a huge amount of attention around it, the number 3 Mercedes, which is your Danny Jonquedea, Jules Gounon, Chris Lallam entry. And that car with Danny Jonquedea at the wheel, getting set to go. They're biding their time. There's no massive urgency in all of this. The circuit is busy, yes, but other teams quite happy working through a program which rather suggests that they got a lot of the work done yesterday, and now they're where they want to be in the program.
Yeah, I think if you were confident with your day yesterday, you'd probably wait for this first skirmish to be able to find the space to drop into. Obviously, when you all leave as a group, it's quite hard to find your space, but if you can then see where everyone's circulating, the engineer can drop you in. I spoke about having new tyres. There's also an allowance of 2 carryover sets, so you don't have to start this session on new. You could be using some old tyres from Paul Ricard, and again, there's 2 sets of those options. So yeah, teams in a happier place will probably just be biding their time, trying to wait for some more space to try and maybe do one of these quali sim runs we're talking about.
Monza very much part of the fabric of GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. It was here, going back a long, long time, that we had the very first Blancpain Endurance Series race. This is the 14th Endurance Cup race to be staged at Monza. Paul Ricard's had 15. Spa, soon to have 16, have hosted more. BMW and Porsche 3 times winners here. Mercedes Audi and Ferrari 1 and McLaren and Lamborghini 2. But we're talking different models of McLaren and Lamborghini over the years, of course, not what's on the grid now. Talking McLaren, Treble 5 goes through the first of the Lesmo bends, one of the CSA racing entries. Just looking to see where that car is in the times. Laurens Leclerc at the wheel of it. 38, oh, big dust cloud being kicked up in the background. The Grunt and Go Mustang there being given the hurry up by the Rutronic Porsche. Lights piercing the daylight even as it goes towards the bridge, but Antares Au is on a mission, isn't he, in the Porsche?
Yeah, nice move. Got the momentum obviously out of Lesmo 2. The Mustang slightly compromised on its exit, and the Mustang's a similar car to the new Lamborghini. You would say it's not quite found its feet. It's got an Evo this year, which HRT especially are happy with. So hopefully that Ford's going to start to get more competitive. It feels like it's been knocking on the outside of the top 10, and it now just needs those last couple of tenths to get it forward. When we are talking about tenths are huge margin in this competitive field.
I was about to say that Patrick Niederhauser has been up the escape road at turn 4.
Smoke as well.
Yeah.
Nina Jade actually said from pit lane this car had a clutch issue leaving the box. They thought it was resolved, but I may suggest otherwise.
Right, okay.
Niederhauser's doing a good job of getting out of the way, and his focus now is to get that car back to box to try and get it fixed so they can finish the session. If he breaks down on track, the recovery process can be quite slow here, so he's trying to nurse that car back. Less smoke now, and it looks to be moving at a slightly better pace. Maybe it's fixed itself, but I'd expect that car to box at the end of the lap still. The interesting thing, when you watch this car dynamically, it looks okay from a driver's eye. It rides the curbs well. It looks a little high to me, so the actual ride height of the car looks high. Is one of the measures the balance of performance used to keep cars equal, and maybe at the moment Lamborghini will be lobbying to get that car a bit lower. A high car as a driver just feels quite wallowy. It feels soft, almost like when you lie down on a water mattress compared to maybe a memory foam. It just don't quite know what's underneath you at any time. It looks like Niederhauser is actually going to stay out, which surprises me with the amount of smoke coming out of that car we saw when we picked up at the second chicane.
Number 3 Mercedes then, Danny Juncadella behind the wheel of it, coming down to the Ascari chicane. Danny, very much an in-demand driver at the moment, isn't he? Not only with Mercedes AMG in GT3 racing, but other manufacturers in the World Endurance Championship. He's also been busy in the European Le Mans Series, and Danny, another of those drivers that can pretty much switch from discipline to discipline. Comes down towards the Parabolica, another famous corner at Monza, and then powering his way now up towards the timing line, end of the lap. And as Danny Juncadella is doing driving duties, Chris Lullum, one of his 2 co-drivers, is standing in the pit lane, and that means he's got time to have a word, and we can say good morning to Bryn Lucas.
You're here with Chris Lullum. You've got your teammate Daniel Juncadella in the car right now. You've just recovered from the Nürburgring 24 hours where you were going against them. But what can you expect from Monza? What can you expect from this outing here in Italy?
What can we expect from this weekend? We'll kind of have to wait and see till qualifying. Right out of the box, we seem competitive, so I don't see why we can't have a shot at the front.
Your journey in this championship has really developed so quickly, isn't it? Last year, gold, doing so well, coming and stepping up into a lineup with these 2 drivers. What's it like? What's the atmosphere like? You know, how are you getting on? How do you feel like you're settling in?
The atmosphere has been, I guess, surprisingly light-hearted. You know, I really enjoy working with Jules and Danny, and to be honest, they've been happy to share with me everything necessary to improve as a racing driver and understand, you know, the different nuances to this championship.
It's a tricky circuit, not a lot of runoff, but very, very high speeds as well. Something you have to get used to extremely quickly around this place.
Yeah. I mean, the track is super high speed, but as a driver, it's one of, let's say, the simpler tracks to drive. You know, there's not so many places where you can gain or lose margin to other drivers, and really once you have the confidence to attack the braking, once you get the confidence with you know, really pushing the braking as much as you can, then that's really when your lap time comes. So
we wish you the very best. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, thank you.
And it would not be a surprise if we didn't end up with a red flag fairly imminently, because as you can see, car off the racetrack, it is Rolf Nijken, and there's the red flag. He's gone off at the Variante Ascari, and undamaged. Benny Icon has looped it. He's into the gravel. That means the red flag to get the car out of the way. Because it's free practice, the clock will carry on ticking. And Rolf Icon, 44th in the times. So the drivers will make their way back to the pit lane. Won't take long, I wouldn't have thought, to get that car out. I was going to say, because we'd had a shot of another part of the circuit while we were hearing from Chris Lullam, just how dirty the circuit was looking over at the Lesmos as people run wide and then drag the gravel back onto the circuit. And something like that is not going to help, is it?
No, it's the only reason I think the red flag might be slightly longer is I wonder if the marshal is going to take this opportunity to sweep the track already. We're only 12 minutes into this session, but we saw it a lot last year. The gravel getting dragged on, and there's basically some tram lines. What happens is early on, we're actually offline through T8. That's all the dust, and that's why the car loops round. And I was going to say, that's not a usual area to go off at the Ascari, although there's a gravel trap there. It's one of the few places when I was driving around here, I didn't feel like I was going to crash in that direction. So it'll be interesting to see why we were on the dirt so early around the mid part of Ascari. But that is a great illustration of when the gravel gets dragged on, the sudden loss of grip. And yeah, last year we saw like basically tram lines being formed through the Lesmos, through Ascari, from all that gravel getting dragged on. It damages the tyres, it can go through the radiators, it can do a lot of damage to the windscreen. By the end of it, you feel like you've driven through a war zone. There's bullet holes all the way through the windscreens, and the windscreens do have a protective tear-off on them, multiple 4 or 5 layers, but still those stones getting fired at you at 200 kilometres an hour do some serious damage.
Now, in a session like this, okay, you can red flag it, get the car out of the way, but in the race, now we're talking full course yellows and all safety cars, and therefore that has an effect on people's pit strategy, and you're not going to have perhaps the luxury of a track sweep like you're pondering we might have now. So yeah, as the race goes on, it's going to get increasingly dirty, isn't it?
It really is, and that's where the drivers with more mental capacity are making notes each lap of where the dirt is. Is it getting worse? Is it staying the same? Can I overtake there now because of the dirt, or is that now a null and void place because offline will be so dirty? All the cars cruising back at 80 kilometers an hour to make sure that everyone is in a safe and well-mannered fashion. Just worried the number 10 boots and Porsche going back into the box there might be just taking the opportunity while there's a red to do a setup change that requires more than 4 mechanics to work on it. And yeah, I hope as well that the Aishin car, they just remind him, we see it a lot, don't we, when the car gets pulled out of the gravel that's caused the red, they come back to pit lane flat out above 80 and then get a penalty for it. So it's double jeopardy sometimes.
A handful of cars have not yet done a lap time. Mauro Engel had not been able to get a lap time in before that red flag. Tommaso Mosca's Ferrari and Gerhard Tveraza's Audi. Tveraza racing also this weekend in GT2 European Series, which is looking at its biggest grid yet. So there's a huge amount of enthusiasm for GT2 now, which is great to see. 32 is Calvin van der Linde, who has brought the WRT entry into the pit lane. Now it is time to get the Ferrari out of the gravel, and now that the road is clear, the signal is given. Rolf Icon stays in the car, and there you go, the gravel blower rather than a leaf blower. I think that's, yes, I was going to say that's at turn 1, that's at turn 7, they're everywhere.
And the marshals are going to be busy this weekend in the heat, so credit and thanks to all of them as ever. But every time they get an opportunity, I think race control is going to go and ask them to put some elbow grease to clear it. And you can see they're doing a great job. They're doing the crevices of the exit curb, they're doing off the line. But yeah, that's going to be, again, the drivers will go back out and the track has changed again within 12 minutes. It's clean again in places, as we see the Danish entered AF Corsa selected racing car there getting its windscreen cleaned, and then the road sweeper as well now helping. And Aishin will be looking, why didn't that happen earlier? I wouldn't have had the dirt and I wouldn't have had this rotation.
Although some of the dirt is down to him, he brought it with him. So you've got then Rolf Icon's car in the gravel bed under these red flag conditions, and you can see now just how busy and crowded that pit lane gets.
Yeah, and Garage 59 have had to fire their car in at 45. They'll be putting the skates in underneath, so they're very lightweight metal structures with caster wheels, so you can see how easily they're able to move that Rutronic Porsche, and that is your only option. Otherwise, you can make a right meal of getting your car in the box, and quite easy to track to penalty as well. Strict regulations of how the cars must come in, how they must leave. So that's why you see this uniformed pattern of all the cars now at 45 degrees nose out as we see a full lift. And interestingly, considering the engine is behind the driver there, the nose of that car really hanging / dragging on the very expensive carbon fibre splitter. So and the car rolling back, I thought it was Mike going to the telehandler there, but all okay. So the car should be released, hopefully fires up A-OK and can drive back to pit lane, and hopefully we go green in the next 4 to 5 minutes, I suspect.
Yeah, Niels Vitic, the race director, looking at his bank of television screens, of course the circuit CCTV, this feed that you're looking at as well, and he'll be able to talk to the local officials that he works with, the clerks of the course, for example, to say, OK, we need another minute or so, do we, of gravel sweeping. There's Rolf Eichen, who is on his way, so that car now, hopefully the message will have been stay offline, but Rolf Eichen's an experienced driver anyway. He'll know what he's got to do. The weaving is to shake the gravel out of the bottom. So, of course, although the incident happened at the Ascari chicane, the drivers, for all the good efforts of cleaning that part of the circuit, they're going to find bits of gravel in unexpected places now.
Yeah, exactly that, and he's just trying to do the best job possible, so when they get back to the garage, hopefully the delay in turning this car around isn't so long and they can get it back out. The JMW team will want to have a look. Look at the gravel streaming out of it still. So you're right, that's gone all the way from Ascari to the last corner, that gravel. So
the Ferrari makes its way down the pit lane, and as it does so, let us go to the pit lane. Jordan Pepper is being able to take this moment to study some data. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, he certainly is. Deep in conversation with Kelvin van der Linde as well. And what were you saying? What was the conversation? It's an early red flag, which is always a bit of a tricky situation.
Yeah, just talking about trying a couple different things. Since they resurfaced Monza, it's so unique with the high grip level. There's a lot of different tricks that are different from the past. You're still obviously exploring. Each year we come here, the grip seems to change, and the biggest talking factor is always the gravel, trying to find a way to stay out of the dirt and the dust and the gravel and try different things. So just playing around with that. We did a lot of setup change overnight, so just seeing how that's interacting, getting his feedback, and we have such a good relationship amongst each other, also with Charles, that we trust each other so much when we're talking about certain things that you can really, when I go in the car, I know what to expect and know what to work on or maybe take with me as we hopefully push the whole level and the whole package forward as we head in towards the serious stuff tomorrow.
Every day is a learning day. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jordan Pepper, of course, moving brands this season. Ariel Levi there on the right as you look with his overalls done up. Chatting to the team. He's at the Tresor Attempto Racing pit box. The fans soaking up the sunshine. Far left, you can tell Valentino Rossi fan. Far right, Ferrari fan. A little bit of needle going on amongst them therefore, but I think everyone's got something to cheer for here, whether it's a driver, whether it's a brand. The session will restart in just over a minute and a half's time. And to go back to the point Joe was making, a huge amount of gravel has been dragged onto the circuit in a very short space of time.
Yeah, this is turn 8 at Ascari. This is exactly where Eichen had his initial issue, which caused him to spin, and the road sweeper doing well. I remember last year, actually, we had that electronic sweeper, didn't we? It was on the end of a brush. I love that thing. I wonder if they've still got those to aid them. But race control will have to find the balance of cleaning the track to a point where it's safe, of course, but then keeping the session rolling, and that's what we're seeing. We're going to go back green in just over 60 seconds time from now, so have an hour and 10 left, but the track already suboptimal.
Right, you've been in this queue as a driver, you've had a spell as a team manager. What are the benefits of releasing your car into the fast lane and being 10th, 20th, 30th in a queue, rather than letting the traffic go and trying to get out and have some clear air, especially in a free practice session? What's the benefit of being, stuck in traffic like that?
Well, if you're 10th, you've still got 50 cars behind you, so you're still quite high up there percentage-wise. And what happens is you get this accordion effect, so everyone backs up looking for space. So if you wait, which is the logical thing to do, all of that space is evaporating in front of you as everyone backs up into your space. So I, as a driver, would always rather just be out there. As soon as we were ready, I can deal with the tyre temp drop, I can build them back up, and it's just elbows out. The outlap is like war. It seems strange that the outlap, non-timed lap of a session, but that's your setup. You've got to get your elbows out. There'd be some dark arts, you could call it maybe here at Monza, where you maybe miss your brake point for the second chicane, jump across and get past a few cars by coincidence and workings of finding that space.
Right, well, we're about to see that, therefore. First out, best dressed and all that. So session is live once again, and now you can see people coming out of the pits, letting the traffic go, which is part of the plan, and others will be getting their elbows out.
Yeah, and that was the dark arts Mara Engel there, yellow Mercedes, going slowly out of pit lane because the pit lane is less than one car wide. No one can overtake him.
Yeah.
So he's generated his space, and that's that accordion. So the 10 cars behind him now have all just lost 5 to 6 seconds of space because Mara Engel has claimed it as his own.
So the pit lane emptying. Don't forget, Mara Engel is one of those drivers who needs to set a lap time here. There are a fair few taking their time about it, but equally it is only free practice. We've got 69 minutes of this session still to go. The fastest time, we've not really touched on this, but it is to Porsche. Last year's Porsche Super Cup champion, Alessandro Giretti, is the quickest, 1:46.941. 98 thousandths up on the number 7 Aston Martin that was brought into the pit lane by Matteo Drudi. Arthur Leclerc's Ferrari is 4th, Christopher Hauser's Audi is 5th, Dennis Lind in the Chevrolet 6th, and 5th, and 6th is Marvin Dienst in another of the Mercedes AMGs. Don't for a moment think that's going to be the order in qualifying, the order at the end of the session, but that's your quickest car thus far, the Verbutsen VDS. And Alessandro Giretti, we know, is a very, very good Porsche racer. As I say, he won Super Cup last year. We saw him in the Endurance Cup at the end of last year in Barcelona, and he was bang on the pace straight away, wasn't he?
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, this car is the fastest one we're talking about. You can see the number 1 on the windscreen, Lumarank there illuminating, but it's 2.2 seconds off qualifying pole last year. So to give you an idea of how far we are to go, you can see the Porsche Purex Racing just topping up the brake fluid. Maybe driver just reporting brake pedal feeling a bit spongy potentially, so when they hit the brake. So driver, you want that pedal to be rock solid and consistent. As soon as it starts to go a bit long and soft, you don't get the confidence that it's going to stop you. And here at Monza, that is a big, big issue. So the team getting on board and trying to address that, as Giretti's done a good job here of getting the space. Looks like he's going to have 3 to 4 seconds in front of him to be able to drop the hammer as they leave the final corner here at Parabolica.
So he pulls the pin, coming up towards the timing line. Quick look at our tracker map shows that there are cars absolutely everywhere, and this is all another aspect of the weekend. Come the race, you're going to have to get used to traffic and weaving in and out of the back markers. So Giretti goes through onto what he hopes is going to be a flying lap, a clear lap, but good luck with that, because there are cars just going through the Rettifilio chicane. He's way up the curb there, bouncing his way through, back onto the power now, and sprinting his way on towards the Curva Grande. The fastest of the Bronze Cup at the moment, Gabriele Piana, who's taken over from Marvin Dienst. Your fastest silver is Sebastian Oegaard's Audi, and Alessandro Giretti not only tops the time, he's also the quickest in gold right now.
The Porsche is able to monster the curbs. Every curb we've seen so far, he's been on top of. Lesmo 1, where we've just been through, is one way there isn't a curb to attack, but Lesmo 2, there's a huge amount of real estate on the inside which he takes. Is he going to get held up by the Rutronic Lambo, or is he going to get a tow? And this is the positive at Monza. Sometimes the traffic gives you the slingshot. You can see him on the flashes. Is Niederhauser going to get out of his way or not?
The answer is yes. The Lamborghini goes by, and Patrick Niederhauser thinks, oh, I used to drive a Porsche, won this championship last year in a Porsche, and hoping that that Lamborghini becomes increasingly competitive and he can get back up there and fight against the Porsche. We're getting one car notified for speeding in the pit lane. That is the ComTu Aston of Aaron Muss, Marcello Tomassoni, Carl Marcelli. But this is Giretti, and actually it's been a decent lap, hasn't it? Because they are personal best. So even though he was already the quickest, he might be able to go a fraction faster. Let's see, coming up towards the timing line now. So he will break the beam now, goes over the line. And he is quicker in the last sector. That's an absolute best. So he does a 1:46.644 then to go not only faster, to therefore stretch the margin over Matteo Drudi.
Yeah, really tidy lap and keeps pushing as well. And these are the curbs you're looking at. And we say it all the time, don't we? The engineers wince at that, the energy going through the cars for potentially 3 hours. As we see Marnie there, looks like he's been told to get ready and jump aboard the Mustang to get his laps in. But look at the amount of engineering, knowledge and power behind the scenes. And we get a super slow-mo of Giretti attacking these curbs at turns 1 and 2. This second one here is huge. This sausage curb on the inside, 20, 30 centimeters high. and all of that energy has got to go somewhere. But the Porsche at the moment, for me, seems to be able to ride them the best. As you can see, it unsettles the car, but the shorter distance, less steering angle, gives it a net gain on a lap time.
So it is Porsche, Aston, Ferrari, Audi, Chevrolet, Mercedes, Ferrari, Ford, BMW, Audi as your top 10 for the moment. It's all going to change potentially as people start to work their way through the remaining 64 minutes or so of the session. This is number 7 Aston Martin then. So Mathieu Drudy going into the Orangier chicane, giving the first curb a bit of a whack. Got the Dustin Blackner Ferrari just up the road ahead, number 74, which has now got Lorenzo Petresi at the wheel of it, but you see the blue light flashing by the side of the circuit. There are still manual blue flags from the marshals, but there's also now the in-car marshalling display that was much the topic of discussion at Paul Ricard.
Yes, we attracted a lot of penalties, didn't we, of the blue flag rule. It was a simple rule in the end. If you were less than 0.7 of a second in front of someone who was going to overtake you for a lap and you were a blue flag car, for 2 sectors you got to drive through. And there's a few drivers maybe puzzled by this. For example, they were saying, well, I was on a fresh tyre, I was overtaking that car to get my lap back, and I can't get 0.7 in 2 sectors to be clear. They then attracted a penalty. So yeah, it definitely was a flavour at Paul Ricard, that blue flag infringement zone.
Now let's see what's going on in terms of times, because Mathieu Drudy here, as you can see on the timing tower, has been bumped down to 5th because Fabio Scherer, also Kelvin van der Linde, Danny Junqueira have all gone faster. Then Drudy goes across the timing line, but that lap that he has just done, a little bit slower. Maybe that is down to the traffic, but number 64, Ford Mustang, up to 2nd fastest. So a good effort done by Fabio Scherer. We saw his co-driver Arjun Maini getting ready to go. 3/10 down on Porsche. Now, does this give us the indication that the Mustang is happy around Monza, or is that just a blip because others haven't yet gone as quickly as you would anticipate?
A bit of both, but for me, we haven't seen the Mustang at any point that sharp at the end of a free practice session. So I think that is going to be a trend. So like I said earlier in the show, we were wanting them to get inside the top 10. I feel like this is the step forward. Yeah. They've got a chance of being inside the top 10.
And the second car is 6th, isn't it? Finn Wiebelhaus's Mustang is in the top 6. So at the moment, good for Ford fans. Over the timing line goes Danny Junqueira. He's got number 3 Mercedes AMG up to 4th fastest. That was a slightly better lap time, 1:47.013. Mauro Engel in the yellow man filter Mercedes down towards the Rettifilio. Mauro is doing a sort of gentle start to the session. He's 39th. I wouldn't worry too much about it, as they're launching himself over the curbs is Maxwell Lynn. That's in the Team RJN McLaren, Bob Neville's team. Max, the younger brother of Alex Lynn, who took pole position at Le Mans last year, son of Sean Lynn, the man behind these days, Motor Racing Legends, which has a very busy series of historic races, and it's a Motor Racing Legends GT3 grid. We'll have the crowd strike 24 hours of Spa. Just rattling the gravel there was Maxwell Lynn. Now, we were talking Mustang. This is the Finn Wiebelhaus car going through the dust cloud. So Wiebelhaus is down to 8th because others have gone faster, including Arthur Leclerc up to 2nd, but the Mustangs are still there or thereabouts. Yeah,
fastest in the silver class as well, so they'll be very happy with the start here at HRT with this Mustang, which sounds phenomenal, of course, everywhere it goes, but this one really shakes the ground, and you feel it in the chest as it pummels past you as well here. And a lot of sponsorship from Ford as well here at Monza as well, with their new logo and slogan, Ready, Set, Ford.
So let's see whether it's going to be a good weekend for the Mustang. There are Mustangs represented, of course, on the GT4 grid as well. And Finn Wiebelhaus here coming down towards the Parabolica. I was pondering in my mind whether he just checked up the pace a little bit, seeing how busy it was ahead. And that line suggests pit in, doesn't it?
Exactly that. And it's a slight compromise to get into pit entry, but it's still a huge attack to then get down to 50 kilometers an hour. And again, this would all be practiced by the drivers. You want to brake as late as you can to make sure you get to 50 as late, but also you don't go under 50 for too long or come in too quick and attract a penalty. Here was the dust cloud we had, and it was Bartone, wasn't it, dropping it on Lesmo 1, dragging all that gravel right in the brake zone for Lesmo 2. And the drivers have to be on their toes, vision up high. The further you look, the more time you've got to think and react to something that wasn't there the lap before. And again, you can buy your own luck with good skill and good practice.
It's been a really good job, though, this by Guiretti, because although others are going quicker and shuffling the order, it's all happening behind him. Up to second has gone Tom Calendar's Mercedes AMG. Kelvin van der Linde has put his BMW up to third, but still Guiretti is the fastest. Now, OK, the margin has dwindled. It's 0.083, so 83 thousandths of a second. That is all. But Guiretti remains the fastest.
Yeah, and he's pumping in a lot of laps, so it wasn't like he's on a brand new tyre that's peaked. This is now sort of start of the stint sort of tyre life, so this would be half a second, 6/10 slower straight away than a quali sim. He's able to go. Last lap he was the fastest out of anyone in the middle sector, where he's about to finish as they break for Ascari. So that Porsche, like you said, David, is in a brilliant window right now.
And this is Tom Calenda coming out of the Ascari chicane. So Calenda second in the times. He's looking to find 84 thousandths to go top. And we've had a change behind because Alexei Nesov has just put his Porsche, the car that he shares with Alex Malikin and Max Hofer, up to fifth fastest. That's another Porsche getting up to the pointy end. But right now you've got Porsche, Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, Porsche, Ford, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Ferrari, Audi within the top 10.
Yeah, the cars that I'm surprised aren't up there, the McLarens right now. Top McLaren all the way down in 26th with Arthur Rouget at the moment. Of course, different strategies, but as a whole brand, that's always an alarming trend when you're not anywhere near the sharp end.
And that's also a CSA Ferrari, not a Garage 59. So not only are Garage 59 not happy with their position, they're going to be even unhappier that they are currently, at least, the slower of the two McLaren teams, yeah?
We talk about how slow and what disastrous this is. This is me critiquing myself. They're 6.5 tenths off pole. So as a driver, you'd come back and go, yeah, I lost a tenth there for a mistake, 2 tenths with traffic. So suddenly it shows you the importance of getting the lap in, as we see Mikkel Mack, I think, in the Stella Corvette, dropping it on Lesmo 2. It's going to be we're going to have to stop talking about people dropping it in the gravel, aren't we? You're showing the drivers are pushing on hard, but this is just going to be so hard. And then the time loss. So Mikkel Mack there probably has lost 6-7 tenths to Nesov there, who's obviously pushing on quick, 7th overall at the moment. So it's not like he's lost to a slow car, but that time is gone forever. And in the race, you do 2 or 3 of those, and suddenly you've lost 10 places, and the team will not be happy with your stint.
Mikkel Mack joining Dennis Lind in the Stella Corvette. Second time we've seen Mikkel Mack within the championship, but not since 2020. So welcome back. Very experienced Danish driver. He's in for Lorenzo Fluxer this weekend, but he's been doing quite a bit of racing in GT World Challenge Asia, as well as Italian GT, has Mikkel Mack. Right, Danny Joncader has got the Red Bull car up to 4th. I was about to tell you it was 3rd, but then Alexei Nesov's white and red Porsche coming towards you went even faster. Alexei Nesov going really well, and this is a car that runs in the Silver Cup. It's fastest in silver, but has got some really good pace, because not only is Nesov quick, so is Max Hofer, and Alex Malikin, who is the man really behind the whole outfit. Pure Racing is his squad. He's done a lot of racing in a pretty limited period. He started off in the Porsche Cayman Series in the UK in 2020, but has done a massive amount of mileage ever since.
Yeah, and Nesov is seriously quick. I raced against him in 2020, I think it was, in GT Open, and I hadn't heard of him and I didn't know who he was, and then first practice session on track, I'm like, well, this is another guy I've got to worry about, and he seems to have got really on board with that Porsche super quick, and he's kind of been under the radar, but I think he's going to be someone to watch out for in qualifying for sure. I
agree with that, and also Max Hofer, the third driver, is no slouch, as we saw when he drove with Luca Engstler a couple of years ago. 99 is Alessandro Frasinetti in the Audi. And Frasinetti's 19th. This is the 3rd of the Audis in the time, the Tresor Attempto car. And I know we say it every event, but it remains true. The Audi still remains a car you ignore at your peril. They are well developed. Okay, maybe they're getting a little bit old, but they are still a turnkey race car. And Arkin Arka's team, the Attempto Racing squad, has so much knowledge of how to operate these cars based on a decade plus that, you know, they are still proving that they can deliver good results. Maybe not for outright wins, but certainly category wins within the classes. We no longer have Santalok on the grid, but we do have Tresor Attempto Racing, and they are still getting the results. Replay of 74, that was Lorenzo Patrese the last time we looked. Let's just wait to see. Gets back onto the racetrack. It is still Lorenzo Patrese. That could have been worse.
Yeah, I think he realised early on, as soon as he turned in, he didn't have the right speed to stay on the track, so opened the wheel up, took to the gravel, dragged a load more on in front of one of the of course, Ferraris as well. And yeah, we're just talking about Engel maybe not being where we thought he could be. Probably just out there, just learning how the traffic's flowing, where the feel is. Yes, you want clear laps, you want to be in space, but sometimes it's important to learn right, I'm going to go and get myself behind an Aston Martin, see where he's strong, behind a Porsche, behind a BMW, and then you learn. So it's not all about out-and-out pure pace, it's about racecraft pace as well.
Nose into the garage, Maro Engel perhaps to give way now. Cycle through, we'll wait and see. There's no instant door opening, but the team having a quick look around the car. So Maro Engel, for the moment at least, work done. And in the times, 8th. So now they turn the car around, they can go to work. Maxime Martin, though, has just gone fastest in Mercedes number 17. So Maxime, another Nürburgring and Nürburgring and Bathurst winner in the car that he shares with Maxi Goetz and Fabian Schiller, the Get Speed car. That goes to the top of the times. So it's now looking good for Mercedes and good for Ferrari, because David Perel has got the number 45 car up to second in the times. That car, he shares the Rinaldi car with Dylan Medler and Rafael Durant. So Alessandro Giretti now down to third. Again, how much do you read into this? Because you've still got the best part of an hour of free practice to go. And as we say, people are doing different things. Some might be on new tyres, some might be on old, some might be scrubbing in, some might be on a heavy fuel load, some might be on a light, some might be thinking of a quali setup, some might be just thinking about mileage for a driver that's not been here before. So you never really know how to compare two cars.
No, you really don't. And as a driver, it's the same. You don't know what everyone else is doing, so you just got to go out there and do your job and make sure the car is in the window. And we mean that by the setup. Can you drive this car for an hour? David Perel really early in warning people who's coming into pit lane. I really like that, just in case anyone was on his rear bumper and they potentially get unsighted from him. You can see his hazard lights on well in the middle of T11 at Parabolica. It looks like he's coming in, but I think he'll be super happy with that second overall, less than a 10th off Maxime Martin, fastest in the silver class.
992 there, which is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. Bobby Thompson, former British Touring Car Championship racer behind the wheel. First time he's raced a GT3 car. First time he's raced here as well, I think I'm right in saying, and his debut in the championship. Right, let's hear from Lucas Stoltz next. Bryn Lucas has found him down in the pit lane.
Here with, well, a Nürburgring winner here. It's great to have you Nürburgring 24 hours with your teammate who's in the car right now. It was a slow start for Maro out there. He was just feeling the pace. Was that the plan? Just get up to speed here at Monza?
Yeah, I think for us the track is always quite difficult in the beginning, like not so much grip, and then usually it gets a lot quicker. Yeah, but now we are back up to speed, and I think now we try some stuff to work out the balance for the race and have a good car. But so far so good.
And just very quickly, as he leaves the pits right now, obviously going to go for a win here, ultimate goal to the championship, but it's one of these, this is a tricky one where you have to consistently bank points.
Yeah, for sure. Monza is always a tricky race, especially the start here with a tight T1. So qualifying is really a key session. But last year, obviously, for them it was really, really good. So yeah, we just try to win.
Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've just seen at the escape road, number 59, Joseph Loke, the man from Macclesfield in the northwest of England, and he's gone off at the first chicane, which suggests that it is a problem with the car, looking at where it is. We're hearing that it's just come out of the pit lane. Not sure about that, but it's not long been on the circuit, but that doesn't suggest that he's made a mistake, otherwise he'd have fired it up and carried on, or indeed not stopped at all.
Yeah, his last lap was a 1:54 on the timing screen, so it wasn't a quick lap, but it's got no power at all. The rear lights on the McLaren should be on even if the engine is off, so it could be in the mid part of a power cycle, the turning off and on procedure. You have to let the car fully go to sleep, which can take 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're going full course yellow. So Joseph Loke's car needs just to be moved, and that can be done under a full course yellow. And also, actually, this there is the full course yellow being deployed. This gives the teams and the drivers a chance to work with it, because you might need it in the race. And so here, the race control team can do two things. They can let the teams have a practice at it. They can also get a car moved.
Yeah, the drivers need a practice as well, driving at 80 k's around here. And you ask why? Turn 1 and 2 is down to 60 kilometers an hour, so you're 20 under the limit for what you'd be doing under a push. So you have to still practice turn 1 and 2 at 80 to try and minimize the time loss. So it's quite an interesting one. You get the same at Spa, at the bus stop chicane, and Le Source. So sometimes you think ATR can just chill for 5-10 minutes, nothing's going to happen, but you should still be practicing driving fast at 80.
A bit of a worry, though, this, isn't it, for Garage 59? As you say, the car seemingly having lost power.
the worry as well, I assume they're going to recover it to the outside, to our left, and that is a long way back to pit lane at that point. So to get this car back out in this session is going to be a big ask. So their chance to fix it and check it's fixed may be taken away from them.
And he's also practiced going up the escape road now, Joseph Lowe. That might be important, especially at the first corner of lap 1 tomorrow.
Yeah, we see a lot, don't we? And that's why the polystyrene blocks are there, to try to stop the driver thinking about it and definitely stopping them being able to get an advantage. So then the drivers get greedy and just go straight across the gravel and grass on the inside, which we've seen cause many an issue as well. But turn 1 here at the race is not a spectacle to be missed.
Maro Engel stayed on board 48. You heard from Lukas Stolz. And so Maro Engel coming out of the Parabolica. The other good thing about a full course yellow, of course, is that it can be withdrawn quickly. There is Joseph Lowe walking away. So you stay out there. Race direction will give you a countdown. And then bang, you just accelerate, take your finger off the button, and you can go back to proper speed, proper times again, quick lap times.
It's always annoying when you start another lap under full course yellow, though, because if it goes green now, you know that you're going to be another slow lap. So sometimes you should just hang around coming into the last corner slightly slower than 80 to try and buy your luck. It's like playing musical chairs at school. When they were down to the last few chairs, you hovered around that chair slightly longer than was allowed by regulation.
Stayed in the game that long, did you?
I had no mates.
A wheel off. Now that suggests that there is more to this than just a lack of power. If it's come out of the pit lane, was that loose? Was that an unsafe release? The timing screen is not saying that it's just come out of the pit lane, that car. However, we are hearing that it has not long left the pits, so things are starting to tally together. Maybe that had not been connected properly.
Yeah, front left from what we saw there briefly, wasn't it? And Joseph Lake's probably done a really good job there and feeling something's not quite right. Bailed out of the brake for turn 1 as we see a car stopping under full course yellow. It's the 80 Porsche down at the second chicane.
Yeah, just looking to see who was behind the wheel of that. Bastien Bus, winner in the Lion Speed car at Brands Hatch. So Bastien Bus pulls off the road. And again, that says problem, because you shouldn't be making a mistake under a full course yellow to go off. And equally, you wouldn't park there, would you? You'd have recovered and got back onto the road. Yeah,
and you would want to get it back to pit road as well. And am I right in saying that car, Paul Ricard, had a power steering issue in the race? In race 1 at Brands Hatch, I think it again had a power steering issue. So
at least they won race 2.
Yeah, exactly. And you would say it was fixed, but I'm just trying to think, why potentially would you stop on track? And normally you can get the car back without power steering. It's hard as a driver. The steering is 20, 30 times heavier, but you'd normally nurse it back.
True enough. I thought I offered you. He's being sounded out by race control as well. Car 59, the Joseph Lowe McLaren unsafe release under investigation. So basically, if you've not tightened up a wheel and you release the car, it is unsafe. It's not unsafe in the case of pulling into the path of another car, but if you're sending a car out with a wheel that's going to fall off, that is also an unsafe release. So we were right to touch on that. There you can see the 992 Paradigm BMW going through, and behind it on track number 71 Ferrari. That was earlier on Frederick Schandorf, but has now been taken over by Malte Ebdrup. That means we can hear from Frederick Schandorf, the very quick Danish driver. Nina Jade Paul is in the pits. We can say good morning to her. She can say good morning in turn to Frederick Schandorf.
Frederick, I know you just hopped out the car, limited track time because of the red flag, but what have you learned out there?
I've learned there's a lot of gravel out there for sure. I mean, people are dropping wheels because now they changed obviously the track, so it's a lot shorter to the gravel, so just dragging a lot of gravel in the track, so it is sometimes difficult. I think that's why some guys are spinning in Ascari as well earlier, but it's always fun to drive here at Monza, and especially when we get to the race, because it's such a fun race here. It's so intense, and there's a lot of passing opportunities, so it should be a good race later.
With the gravel on track, how is that going to be after 3 hours?
The good thing is that the more we run, the less gravel there is, because in the end there's no more gravel next to the track, so it should be fine towards the end. But it is obviously affecting a little bit. But I do prefer the way it is now with the layout, because when you have all these track limits everywhere with runoffs and tarmac, is a little bit boring. I like the American old school tracks where, I mean, there's a grass or a wall, so I think it's a good step and good improvement here in Monza.
Well, thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, there is the recovery work for number 80 Porsche. Lion Speed having gone up to pro for the first time in 2026, having run in the classes last year. Now, yes, showing good speed, but also with the mechanical dramas they're suffering. And there you can see just how dirty the road has become, and therefore how narrow it has become, because right, you wouldn't necessarily try and overtake around the outside in the middle of the Ascari chicane, but even if you thought about it, you've got a deterrent, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with Shandorf's assessment of that. It will eventually get better because there's no more gravel left. I'd say there's quite a lot to get dragged on, and it predominantly only gets worse as we go back to green flag. And yeah, like we said, it's just a tram line. It's one line through the Ascari, and it starts to get a problem. My fear is these stones as well can just cause more issues than losing grip. Punctures and damage to the car can follow quite quickly.
Mauro Engel then now released. Session is live again. 44 minutes remain on the clock, and it is Maxime Martin's Mercedes the fastest. Mauro Engel winner here last year, then going through the Curva Grande. Speed building all the time, and then up towards the second chicane, the Roger chicane. Stand on the brakes, go down through the gears and ride the curbs.
See the Mercedes so planted, picking the throttle up into Lesmo 1 now. We get to about 190 k's before we have to hit the brakes and bring the car back down. 130-ish through the apex. Short squirt here, back up to 190. And again, Lesmo 2 slightly quicker than Lesmo 1. Actually, the other way around, the Mercedes a kilometre an hour slow. There's the gravel on the inside. This is the end of sector 2 as we dive underneath the historic banking. That's the bridge here. That's the track built in 1922 into the Ascari chicane. We're going to brake just at the 150 board now. Down 2 gears, roll the speed through, and then hard on the throttle, avoiding all the gravel. Full gas all the way through here. Since they reprofiled the curbs in 2024, it's easier through the Ascari. The real drivers don't like it as much. It's made it more of a level playing field. 1 corner to go, Parabolica, 260 k's before we break in possibly late 100-metre board. It looks like we've actually just backed out of it, and we're trying to get some space for the next lap. If you can manipulate your exit out of the Parabolica, carry another kilometre an hour 2 on exit, you start your next lap faster, and that looks like what Mauro Engel's done there.
Yeah, you're right, he did just brake a little harder a little earlier, didn't he? Just buys himself another 2 or 3 cars lengths as you look down from the drone over the start and finish area, down towards the first of the chicanes, and you can also get an idea of, yeah, there's the gap. Well, it's being whittled away as he comes through the chicane, but he had, at least at the start of the lap, got a few lengths to make up. But in theory, given the balance of performance, he shouldn't necessarily end up on the tail of that car ahead. He's in a McLaren, really, until the end of the lap.
Yeah, he lost 2 seconds in sector 3, so he really did try and back it up. But unfortunately, he had the Greystone GT McLaren for him, so he couldn't back up any more than he already had, and it's the Optimum McLaren in front. He seems to be catching at quite a fast rate of knots at the moment. So Mauro Engel, I think, again, will be in exactly the same position as he gets into the Parabolica in 5 corners time. This drone shot showing you the beautiful parkland that Monza is set in.
Through the Lesmo bends, Engel then down in sector 1 as well, but that's not necessarily a crisis. Depends exactly what the team's plan is. As we were saying, different teams doing different things here. You're back on board with Engel, goes underneath the bridge, over which goes the part of the circuit which includes the banked corners that was used for the Race of 2 Worlds, the so-called Monza-Napolis event. Mauro Engel then now out of the Ascari chicane, round the back of the very busy paddock, down towards the Parabolica. And here's another of the elements of free practice. He's on a quick lap, and others are still trying to weave and get warmth and pressure up in the tyres. Yeah,
let's see Rivera in that AF course row, and again he's backed out coming into the Parabolica. He will just be pleading with whatever God he believes in to just get some space, to get a lap in. Mauro Engel has been in this car from the start of the session. He has now done, well, we're well into this, 50 minutes of the session. They obviously have a plan here, Winwood. They were fastest yesterday in free practice, obviously in a good place. Mauro Engel doesn't need the laps personally, but they must be going for a plan of a few setup changes, and Mauro's been given the job of just saying yes or no before he allows his other teammates of Auer and Stoltz to play.
That's 14 laps done for Mauro Engel, and let's focus on Marco Sorensen. Number 7 Aston Martin, just come back out after a pit stop. Let's try and listen in. 21st in the times, that car currently. So through the chicane, Going to try and listen to team radio if we can from that car in a moment, as Sorensen comes now down towards the Parabolica.
Here has same, but quite a bit of vibration from these tires. I don't know if they've been locked up or copy.
Well, to me, sound like Marco complaining of a vibration from the tyres. There's got a few reasons it can be. One is pickup. Normally a pro doesn't suffer with that. You only get the pickup when you run off the line and they know what it is and they can self-clean the tyres. It can be the wheel weights falling off, so when the wheels are balanced up with new tyres, the wheels have imperfections in, which mean they're not perfectly symmetrical in their weight around their radius. They can fall off. And the other one as well, when the tyre's slightly cold and you brake hard, the wheel can actually slip on the wheel. It rotates itself round, so then it negates the point of balancing them. So it could be one of those issues. Normally an engineer will ask a severity out of 10. And I would always say anything under 5 you just carry on without an issue. Anything more you probably want to box and try and address.
An interesting last lap, just going off on a tangent, for Chris Lullum. Absolute best in the first sector. Sectors 2 and 3 were a bit slower than they had been hitherto. Chris Lullum then aboard number 3 Mercedes. It might have been traffic that went against him. And again, look, a big heap of gravel in the middle of the road as here Marco Sorensen presses on. That car was up at the pointy end early doors, but as others now got into a rhythm and got their times down, the Aston, for the moment at least, unable to respond. 38.5 minutes, give or take, on the clock.
Yeah, and again, we're just trying to work out tyre strategy potentially. When I look at what drivers are doing, there's definitely cars that have done new tyres, like Martin's time was definitely a new tyre. That car suddenly just found 1.1 seconds on its previous runs. So you start to get a vibe of it, but this 007 car just flatters to deceive sometimes. And like we said, that Paul Ricard then just was metronomically fast over the 6 hours. I just wonder here, the 3 hour doesn't maybe seem to suit the Aston as much as the longer races.
They were helped by that late race safety car, of course, at Monza, at Paul Ricard, I should say. But even so, the Aston Martin coming up toward the line now. Sorensen is down to 23rd, and the sector times aren't coming for him, so he goes by. Now, if they're thinking of a race run here, maybe it's not a concern. If they're thinking about quick lap times, it is. As number 9 Porsche of Max Hofer, just going into the chicane, is now the fastest. So Max Hofer has done a 1:46.232. So the times are still able to be brought down. That, again, might well be a new tyre run. And have a look at this for a big wave of cars that yet again includes Mauro Engel. Is this where somebody in the pit lane, looking at where his car is, looking at the traffic, looking at the tracker map, might say, all right, Mauro, pit, because we can try and get you out in fresh air somehow?
Yeah, well, he just needs to let a couple of cars go. He needs to let this Kelly Greystone GT car and then the 42 Century BMW. There's a big gap behind him, and the driver will always be asking for help. But look at that gap. That's where I'd slot in. I'd let now 3 cars behind as one leaves the pit lane, of course. Interestingly, the 48 is under investigation alongside the number 3 Verstappen.com car for undertaking under yellow. I don't know which way round it was, but normally that will be a bang-on penalty and sometimes can attract a knock-on effect into your qualifying position, of course.
Meanwhile, that Greystone McLaren, Jaden Kelly at the wheel, 50th in the times. Jaden, last year's McLaren Trophy Europe winner. That's another championship that kicks off this weekend with an even bigger grid than ever before. Greystone having its first full season in GT World Challenge, although they have run in other categories in the past. They had a sort of toe in the water at the end of last season, didn't they? But, yellow flag up the road?
I think it was the debris flag. I think the yellow was much brighter than the red, but I think it might be the most obvious flag of the day, that there might be something on the track surface affecting the grip.
That'll be gravel then?
I reckon so, but Shandorf said it will go soon, so hopefully they can take that flag in.
And there are others being looked at for their pit lane speed, as now Tom Fleming has got his McLaren up the times, and there's mayhem breaking out of the Ascari chicane. There's a Ferrari off the road, there's an Aston and the Valkenhorst car trying to rejoin, and that Ferrari number 50 sitting in exactly the wrong place, now effectively blocking the road.
That is a place I wouldn't want to be as he goes in front of the Optimum McLaren. I think the Aston and the Ferrari spun. Where's that Porsche going as well?
Sean Gallal in the Ferrari, quickly to say.
I feel their spins were independent, but maybe Gallal saw the Aston Martin and decided he had to try and go round him, put it on the dirt and looped it around. So the Aston here in shot loses it early on from the chicane. That was a horrible snap, car not riding the curve. Gallal's going to come into shot, and I think he's going to have to be offline to avoid potentially hitting the Aston, which is on the racing line. They almost just teleported into shot there, didn't they? Yeah. The dust covered him. I think he's on the dirt, and then the Porsche coming in. I mean, it's double wave yellows. Maybe that Rutronic Porsche should have been backed out of it slightly more than he was.
Yeah, I was just thinking, to have a moment like that under double wave yellows is never a good look. But anyway, cars coming down the pit lane. Gaspar Simon, the SRO GT Academy winner, was the spinner in the Aston. Sean Galal was the driver in the Ferrari. And we'll try and unravel the Porsche as well. So, thankfully, the road is clear. The session continues. But again, you anticipate things like that happening in the race.
Imagine that was in the race and a train of 20 cars is coming through. The Aston on the racing line, the Ferrari blocking the second option. It wouldn't be a pretty sight. And again, drivers are just going to have to make a note of this, that their eyes are going to have to be on stalks. Engineers could be helping on the radio. They use the TV pictures a lot to communicate to the drivers what they're seeing. And that's what you're going to want, this team sport dynamic that GT racing is.
This is now Maximilian Goetz. Maxi Goetz at the wheel of number 17 Mercedes that was fastest, courtesy of Maxime Martin. It's now second by 0.209 of a second to the Max Hofer Porsche, which is now quickest of all. And Maxi Goetz with now Gilles Magnus third in the quicker of the two Boutsen Porsches. The car has had absolutely no luck all season. There you've got the two Mustangs sandwiching the Mercedes. Session's got 33 minutes to go, and it's been busy. Spins and incidents, and still quite a few cars out of position.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing the tightness, aren't we? The top 37 covered by a second. 9 cars less than yesterday's free practice. Still half an hour to run, so that may tighten up. If I'm being greedy, I'd love to see 50 cars within a second. Gives you a great snapshot of how well the BOP is working.
It does indeed. As up towards the Variante Ascari they come. Slippery surface flag there to say there's a gravel trap on the road. And through it comes Maxi Goetz, another of those massively experienced Mercedes AMG drivers, who's been racing for them for well over a decade, a loyal servant of the brand, but he still delivers.
Yeah, backing out of it again, like we were saying, with his driver ID in the windscreen, he should almost be racing GT2. When it first flashed up, I thought, what's the reference to GT2? But it's GTZ, of course, for the driver initials. But so many drivers, you don't always get the obvious choice as well. So sometimes have to work hard on the abbreviation, cutting the corner as much as you can. That little kick there, just the straightest, shortest distance possible when the margins are this tight. Hundreds and thousands are all worth getting.
As there is Dorian Boccolacci coming down towards the Parabolica. So this is the car that's sixth. It was fastest early on, remember, when Alessandro Giretti was at the wheel of it. Boccolacci is another Porsche champion turned Porsche GT racer and ex-single-seater racer and ice race champion. So let's see what he can do, but that's not going to be an improved lap time. Max Hofer, who went quickest, is now boxed. There is the Ziggo Sport Tempesta Porsche coming back out onto the circuit. It had Eddie Cheever at the start. It then had Jonathan Hui behind the wheel of it.
See the BMW going real deep there of Cordell just in front of that Ziggo Sport car. So again, an illustration, you can brake slightly too late and then you compromise yourself for there. And it's so easily done when you're trying to get down from 270 kilometers an hour to just down to 60, 210 Ks is that brake zone that has to be lost. A few meter margin is wrong. And again, that's why the jeopardy is so high here at Monza.
Just quickly to tie up that it is now Chris Froggatt through the rotation into the Ziggo Sport Tempesta Porsche. And you're looking there again at number 2 Porsche, Dorian Boccolacci 6th. Lorenzo Ferrari has gone 7th, a Ferrari Audi, up to 7th. So that's another of the cars in gold. So you've got silver from Pro, from gold, and your best bronze at the moment is 11th, which is Michael Grenier in the now Get Speed Team Dubai car. Gabriel Rindone, Tom Callender, and Michael Grenier, the 3 drivers. Boccolacci on a mission, and we are about to nudge into the last third of the session.
Yeah, the Porsche just looks great round here. The balance, the amount of curb they can use. When we saw that Aston Martin lose it at Ascari, for me that was the curb strike. The dampers couldn't deal with the energy quick enough, whereas this Porsche just seems to be almost disconnected body to chassis. It can just smash over the curbs, and that energy is dissipated well before it makes it to it. Here's the Ferrari-driven Audi you were talking about, and fastest in Sector 1, stolen that from Lulham. Not the best Sector 2, could be traffic effective, of course, but this could be a strong showing for the Audi that's currently in 8th place.
Up to second, though, Marco Sorensen in the Aston Martin. So after those steady laps and possible fears of the vibration, he's just banged in the car's best yet, a 146.421. We've not seen Nicky Tim behind the wheel of it yet, I don't think, either. Here comes Lorenzo Ferrari then, heading out of the Parabolica up towards the timing line. So in the Gold Cup, he doesn't go to the timing line, he goes to the pit lane. So a weird lap, absolute best, bit slower in the middle and bails at the end.
Yep, did everything possible on those sectors, didn't he? Every colour going, purple, green, and then yellow as well. Just going to the Sorensen thing, again, just looking at the timing here on the HH, he's definitely done a set of tyres. So his best was a 47.4. He boxed next session that he's on now, 46.4. So he's found 1 second. Unfortunately, it won't be a driver of Sorensen's calibre finding something. It won't be a setup change. That is new tyres. It gives us an illustration of what new tyres are worth.
Does indeed, and therefore the teams will be factoring that into their calculations for the race as well. As we were saying earlier on, an obligatory third stop. Normally in a 3-hour race, it's quite simple. Run for an hour, pit, run for an hour, pit, run for an hour, take the checkered flag, and then if you're lucky, go to the podium. But here you've got to factor in that third stop. Off the road has gone Boccolacci, and where has he done that?
Ascari, I think, isn't it? This is the run to Parabolica now.
Yeah, that's the exit of Ascari, yeah. So midway through, it started to go wrong. We'll try and get a replay of that, but it can catch out the best.
That's after I said how well that Porsche was handling. It looked absolutely settled. Just want to make sure it's okay through the gravel trap as well. I guess it might be there in the race, so practice now. What happens? He's wide early on. Doesn't get it onto the apex curb through the mid part of Ascari. Does so well to miss the wall there. And he'll breathe a big sigh of relief. But again, just because there's only one line through there now, as soon as you're a millimetre wide, you're effectively halving your grip level as you get on the dirty part of the track, and that just seems what Boccolacci did there.
But barely a lift. I mean, yes, he was through the gravel, and yes, he was millimetres away from the barrier, but he kept his foot in, dragged it out the other side, and carries on. Had we not had the vision of that, he wouldn't have known anything had happened. It's just a slowish lap. But Boccolacci then, in doing all of that, lost round about 9 seconds, 9 to 10 seconds. There is the Ziggo Sport Tempesta Porsche. Chris Froggatt, we've now put behind the wheel of the car. It's 49th in the times, and the session is being stopped again. And either this is because there's a car in an awkward place, or perhaps for a bit more track sweeping, but we have a red flag.
I think it's the latter. I can't see anyone on the track map that has stopped, so maybe we're just at a point, like you said, David, with nearly half an hour to go, give it one final sweep to give the drivers a chance.
Well, Niels Vittich, the man in charge, the race director, will be looking at all the available pictures and understanding exactly what needs to be done. There'll be some feedback perhaps from Marshall's post saying, you know, we've got a huge amount of gravel here. He'll have witnessed cars going off and may now feel that something needs to be done about it. The point Frederick Schandorf was touching on when Nina J. Paul spoke to him about old school circuits, it is one of those flip sides of coins, isn't it? Because you can have a circuit with acres of tarmac runoff area. People then take liberties with track limit abuses, whereas here, and Zandvoort's another example, you've got gravel traps close to the edge of the road. So there is a deterrent, but if people do keep going off, they drag the gravel on, which therefore means that people go off and drag gravel on, and so it spirals. But the other side of the coin is the runoff tarmac, which creates track limit problems. Which would you rather have? Discuss.
Hybrid. I think for me, it was the first track I saw, it was Qatar for the F1, where they dug a trench of gravel on the exit. It was a foot, 30 centimetres wide, so it stopped you being able to go faster by running wide, like you would at Paul Ricard, for example, but there wasn't the pure mass of gravel that gets dragged on when you've got acres of gravel trap. I personally think that's the best hybrid as a driver. It keeps the jeopardy there, stops what we're seeing now. The safety is good enough where it's a modern standard, but yeah, I mean, I'll offer you this, David. Have you ever had a race where you've been commentating on that they've had to do a safety car mid-race for a clean?
I don't think so. I think I've seen it piggybacked onto recovering a car, but not purely for the clean-up.
You use a catalyst off the back of it, right, to do it.
Yeah.
But at this state, and that's what we're hearing, the drivers are saying is undrivable. And if someone like Boccolacci is going off in the middle of Ascari, you would tend to agree the driver for once is probably right with their statement.
Yeah, I've seen sessions interrupted in touring car racing where tyre stacks have been moved by people clipping corners and moving them, and they've had to be put back in place. But not during races. So lots of track sweeping, and the race director is saying there's too many cars going off around turns 7 and 8, and therefore what we're going to do is allow a bit of track sweeping, try and make the circuit as tidy as it can be, and then go again. But the clock ticks down, so you could have had, for example, 28 dirty minutes, or you might get 18 clean minutes, or cleaner minutes.
The interesting thing here as a driver, the track limits that are monitored are predominantly apex cuts, so where you can gain by cutting the inside of the corner, which is tarmacked, and not bringing gravel on. Are we going to have some conversation where the track limits are expanded to, even though you're not going faster because you're going in the gravel, it's detrimental to the support of the race, exactly. Yeah. But then, yeah, it's difficult, and I think Monza have done a good job here in terms of the investment in the equipment to sweep up the tracks. The marshals are doing everything and more than they can, but it's a physics thing at the end of the day. The amount of gravel that is on the circuit is making it ultimately dangerous.
You've seen these new high tarmacked areas that some of the MSV circuits have got, for example, at Snetterton. There's a couple of places to stop people corner cutting. They've got this tarmacked section behind a curb, but it's raised. It's a little bit like a ramp, and if you do catch it, then you either get onto 2 wheels, or in the case of a mate of mine, you roll your Mini Melia the other week. But they are a deterrent, and the FIA are looking at those apparently, because the curb that you can use, that's not changed. But rather than have people go behind it and cut, now if you do that, you're going to find yourself with a real deterrent and a ramp almost.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd almost moved away from those from a safety perspective, haven't we? Remember, it was a Formula 3 crash here on the exit of Parabolica, where the slight clip of that curb sent the car cartwheeling away, so much so the F1 movie decided to use that ethos. I think they used Hawthorns at Brands Hatch for it, didn't they? And injected some Hollywood, shall we say, into the physics of how that crash happened. But the trade-off of, it's so difficult, isn't it, for a circuit, for the motorsport bodies. Safety is paramount, of course. Enjoyment is up there, but then usability is a factor as well, and those three have to be a hybrid of what solution we find.
Now, while we have this red flag, let's catch up with Raffaele Marciello. Bryn Lucas has found him in the pit lane. Raffaele here as a BMW driver, of course, this weekend. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, so Raphael, it's you're down the order, but there's absolutely no concern at the moment. Tell me just what's going on with the car, what's going on here at Monza, and why you're down in P35 at this early stage.
I mean, there is no points winning today, so I mean, it doesn't matter if you're P1 or plus. So we are trying to improve the car, going through our program, and then let's see tomorrow in qualifying.
Does this stop-start nature with the red flag give you chances to try a different setup, or are you happy with the setup of the car?
No, I mean, it's still a free practice, so we're still trying to find the best setup. And I mean, the red flag, if it's short, it's okay. Depends at what moment is the red flag, yeah.
Well, you don't look concerned. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Raffaele Marciello working through the program in that BMW, and Jake Dennis, one of the other drivers that he has as company this weekend, meaning it's going to be a very competitive lineup indeed. Clock's ticking on down, 22 minutes are remaining. So as soon as possible, the marshals' clean-up work will be done and we can get cars back out once again. Number of fans in grandstands increasing. Equally though, Joe, temperatures rising at the minute.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? Track temp was 35 degrees when we started. It seems we'll be trying to just get their eye in on that change as quickly as possible.
Maxime Martin's had a good session as well thus far. Nina Jade Paul has found him in the pit lane. Let's hear from Max.
Max, very good month for you so far, winner of the Nürburgring. Are you hoping to transfer some of that luck over here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it has been a very good last few weeks with the victory in the Nürburgring 24. But here it's a different story. We are here in Monza, very different track, different field. But looking good. I mean, we are preparing. It's FP1. We are preparing for the race. It's going to be a long 3-hour race, but I think it's always important to start at the front. So we try to focus a bit more on qualifying and see where we can end up.
Interestingly, Pole has only won this race twice, so that's a good fact.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at least if you can start around, you know, the front of the field, it helps for sure for the race, especially for first corner at the start. It's always a bit of a gamble here. And we were a bit unlucky last year, where we didn't even pass a second corner. So I hope this year is going to be better.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
The session is going to restart in about 30 seconds time. So we're not far off getting things back underway. Yet again, the big queue of cars goes down the pit lane. That's going to give us about 20 minutes to take it to the end.
Yeah, just looking at some of the drivers who haven't driven, so like you said earlier, David, Nicky Team's not been in the car yet. There's quite a few cars that haven't cycled through all three.
And another star from BMW's ranks that Bryn Lucas has found is Dan Harper. He's had another very successful season as well. Let's go to the pits.
So Dan, you've not been out in the car just yet. The clock is ticking down. Valet's in it right now. And you're down to what, P25, P26? So any issues out there or just happy going through the motions?
Yeah, just going through the motions. We had a little problem with the car yesterday, so we at least have ironed that issue out, which is good. I think yesterday we finished like 53rd or something. So
you know I'm going to ask you what the problem was. What was that little issue you had and how was it fixed?
Just something like setup-wise, the car was feeling very off. So we changed the diff, and thankfully it's back to normal. So yeah, we're feeling better, and it's so close. Like the lap times, you see, like you would gain, if you gain half a tenth, you gain 4 or 5 places. So that's Monza, and it's a good one.
It's very tight. You've got to go and get ready, but thanks for chatting to us. Good luck.
Thank you.
So session is back live. Cars making their way out on circuit. And this gives us just under 19 minutes now for the teams to complete their work in this session. Some holding back, some eager to get out on track. There is the stellar Corvette, another car that's getting increasingly competitive, outing by outing. But with only one car, there's limited data being brought back to help development, I guess.
Yeah, that is a big issue for them at the moment. They did have a second car, didn't they? And they just aren't able to get the funding there for it. This Kessel Ferrari, interestingly, running the endurance lights on the front, those 2 extra lights on the front. We shouldn't have any dark running. Just trying to think why you would do that. There's an extra cost involved if you damage them. The only thing I can think is it adds a bit of weight to the front end. So if the team is struggling with some understeer potentially, putting some extra weight on the nose of that car, maybe a slightly left field tweak. But yeah, just caught my eye on the 74 Kessel car there.
There's the Winward 87 ready to go, Mercedes AMG. That was going nicely early on with Marvin Dienst and Gabriele Piano. Renat Salikov now at the wheel of it. And another yellow flag because number 52 Ferrari is now ground to a halt. That is Mattia Zagazzetta at the wheel.
Inside a Lesmo 1 there. It's an interesting place, quite a good place to stop. Does something look a bit off on the rear right, or is it just the angle of the car we're seeing?
Not quite sure, but it shouldn't be doing it on an outlap effectively, should it? So problems for Zagazzetta, who was a class winner, impressively so, at Brands Hatch in the sprint opener. So Corvette back on track. There is Mikael Grenier in the Team Dubai Get Speed car, and it does not look as though number 52 of Mattia Zagazzetta is going to get going. The Peruvian driver stranded, and does that therefore require a full course yellow? Where that orange mark on the barrier, that means there's a gap. That's where a car can park and the marshals can drag it, but they can't go trackside unless the session is neutralised. So a full course yellow, they could probably get to that and just push it into the gap. It wouldn't take that long potentially. So maybe, yes, there is a full course yellow coming. It's in 20 seconds time. And now 10. So full course yellow is about to be called so they can get that Ferrari into the gap. And therefore we don't need to go red yet again. So another full course yellow.
Yeah, is it missing the whole rear right wheel, I think? I thought it looked odd from the long shot. I just expect to see the rubber at that point, the cutaway of the rear fender normally allowing it. Something there, just something doesn't look quite right. And like we saw maybe with the 59 car losing a wheel early on in a session, if it's just left the pit lane potentially, that's the issue there.
Okay, a bit of a worry then. And if it is a wheel off, it isn't going to be a quick push it into the gap moment, is it? It's going to take a lift. Alex Malikin's Porsche has come down the pit lane. All of this frustrating the teams now because we're eating into the last minutes of the session. Alex Malikin has got back into number 9. Max Hofer, remember, did the fastest time in that, a 1 minute 46.232. So not a bad session all round for Porsche.
No, it's been good from the get-go, hasn't it? Session has been strange for Mercedes at times. They finally got there with the Gertz car, it felt like. Strange maybe for BMW and McLaren also. Ferrari are there or thereabout in the mix, but not maybe with the cars you would suspect. So, yeah, this sort of stop-start nature of free practice really hurts cars that trying to get in the windows. The marshals are going to do a good job here. Hopefully it doesn't get beached on the gravel as they on the curb, sorry, as they go forward, but seemingly without any tractor there to aid them.
Right, so the Ferrari rather is going to be moved. Let's have a look. There is 52 coming out of the chicane, and it's slowing and it's pulling to one side. Can't see any wheel parting company, but it might be a flash, I suppose.
Yeah, it looked level as well, didn't it? Normally when you lose a wheel, it starts to tripod, obviously, and it looked okay. So I take away the option of the rear right being off, and I don't think it would roll this well either with only 3 wheels. So it's been something quite drastic and quite quick where the car is unable to carry any momentum to get to a better place. But those 2 marshals have done a phenomenal job there, and actually we could go green in probably under a minute.
Yeah, good work. Got the car out of the way, and so of course we'll have a look at all that situation post-session. The cars are out again this afternoon for the second free practice period, and then of course qualifying tomorrow morning before the race. Nicky Tim has been installed behind the wheel of number 7 Aston Martin, and the full course yellow is ending now.
Great reactions from teammate. You can see the yellow flag being withdrawn and the limiter came off instantly, and that's why we're gaining on the car in front. It's the 71 in front of us, the selected racing. So all good practice for the race, and Nicky Team, the Dane aboard here, catching the Danish Ferrari on that restart.
With just under 14 minutes of this session still to go. Nicky Team then now accelerates on, turns through the Lesmo Benz, the Paul Ricard winner 2 years ago now, the 24 Hours of Spa, the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, which will be the next endurance event, of course, at the end of June. Tickets on sale, and I know we say it a lot, but if you've never been, well, you really ought to put it on your list of events attended, because the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa is quite something. And there's an awful lot being planned this year off track, never mind just 4 days of action on the circuit. Team through the Ascari chicane.
Car looking good. We're not able to see his steering inputs, but just from the forward view looking good, deciding wants to get a bigger gap. He's got a slight gap behind him. He's probably got another couple of seconds to the sister Com2U car, so they may be able to just work a space better there. As you can see, a mechanic going to work on the rear end of the Rover 98 car. Looks like it's not like a huge issue. Looks like it's more putting cable ties around something. Have they had to change a wheel speed sensor potentially, or something is dangling that shouldn't be dangling and the cable tie is the quick solution? But don't seem to be working in a fast manner considering less than 13 minutes remaining of this session.
Slowest car in the session is a Porsche, and the fastest is a Porsche, as Matthew Sagazetta becomes a spectator. Lenny Reed's 914.911 is the slowest, and Alex Malikin is at the wheel of the quickest Porsche number 9 that tops the 57 times. There is the run down to the Parabolica, with a Ferrari looking to try and get through traffic. 23rd in the times is Lilo Wadu in number 50. And the session now with only 12 minutes to go. So it may well be that we now start to see people thinking about a proper lap time and having put new tyres on, really going for it. Other teams might just be very, very happy and content working through their programme.
The teams can obviously refuel during this 90-minute session, but this will be the time where you expect cars to be at the lowest of the fuel across the board as well. Dennis Lind will want that car to be higher than 42nd position at the moment as we go on board with this high revving V8 in the back of the Corvette. We've seen this car be very fast around the world. At the moment, we haven't seen it in GT World Challenge Europe, it feels like. Dennis, very, very quick, of course, himself. So that car has the potential to be at the sharp end. And actually, that lap raises him 8 places up to 34th place. Now 7.5 tenths off pole position. Oh, the sound of that thing from the drone shot with the camera there is beautiful. And yeah, that must be a pleasure to drive around here.
Absolutely. And Dennis Lind is somebody that still perhaps doesn't get the credit he deserved. After he stopped being a Lamborghini factory driver, he fell off the radar a little bit and suffered because of the driver grading. He was a platinum graded driver, but not with a manufacturer, then drivers are in very short supply. But he is an absolute star. He's a great character as well. It's good to have him back on this grid. It'd be great to have him winning races again, but hopefully he can help the stellar Corvette develop. But it is, as I say, really, really good to have him here and going so well. Runs it wide coming out of the Lesmos, but that indicates typical Dennis the Menace attitude to this. You get the car on the scruff of the neck and just force it to do what you want it to do, never mind what it wants to do.
Yeah, it was probably the optimal line as well. I didn't seem to lose him any traction. Car same planted, so although dipping in the gravel, the car straight all over the curb there through Ascari, easy flat through this second part since they reprofiled the apex curb there, which I think was a bit of a war crime, to be honest. It really made it much, much easier than it used to be, as we see a race here coming from the Rover BMW trying to get down the Acuria Cost Aston Martin.
Yeah, that's Jens Klingmann in the BMW trying to get past the Aston. Giacomo Petrovelli at the wheel of it, the British-based Italian, and now you'll see the BMW perhaps boom past the Aston. BMW's had a good track record here. Jens Klingmann's been a winner outright, hasn't he? Going back, what, 2 years ago to the very strategic race that WRT pulled to win outright, as Nicky Thiem, now third in the times, comes towards us. Why third? Because Sven Müller has gone second quickest in 97 Porsche, so it's a Porsche 1-2. So you've got silver, bronze, pro, the top three. Let's see what Thiem can do in number 7, Aston, coming up towards the line now. Goes through, breaks the beam, and that lap will be fractionally slower.
Yeah, 4/10 off the ultimate of this car. I think he did have to overtake the Century BMW by the looks of the shot we picked up. Gets it in lovely to turn 1. Bit of curb at turn 2. Some drivers completely avoid it, some completely smash it. There's 2 schools of thought there, depending on how your car is, of course. You can hear how quick the upshifts are on this Aston. They pop into gear so efficiently. There's no loss of torque or drive whatsoever, just a slight backfire. Hard on the brakes for the second chicane. How much curb we're going to use on the left. Track limits are monitored on the left there. Now we're into the Lesmos. Bit of traffic in front of him, though, may hamper his progress.
Another quick-looking car here from Garage 59 is the 58 McLaren. Tom Fleming, I think, is behind the wheel of that car currently. And he comes to the Parabolica behind the RJN McLaren. That's got Ben Dure behind the wheel. Bob Neville's team's car currently 48th in the times. There are quite a few teams that will have some work to do at the end of the session. For Garage 59, Tom Fleming pits. So the last significant improver, Sven Müller, up to 2nd. We've also got Jens Klingmann's BMW up to 9th. And another improver has been Christian Cronje's Aston. That's up to 19th in the times. Lukas Stolz has got the crowbar out because he's managed to prise Maro Engel from the cockpit and get himself installed. Folded himself into the car, the very tall Lukas Stolz, Nürburgring 24-hour winner, and he is on a mission as well. This car, as it comes down now to the Parabolica, is 24th in the times, as you can see, but this is looking like a decent lap. 2 greens, in other words, personal bests. Greens are good. Purples are really good, because that means better than anybody in a sector. So Stolz, 24th at the start of this lap, and the order continues to shuffle. Let's see what he can do. Gabriele Piana has just got up to 10th in his Mercedes AMG out of the Winwood stable. Stolz goes 3rd. Now, the time, 1:46.311. So at the moment, we have the leading 46 cars covered by less than a second. 46 in under a second. That is extraordinary.
Yeah, if you were to visualise that crossing the line after nearly 6 kilometres of a lap, it would be an absolute assault of cars, wouldn't it? And Piana here aboard the other Winwood Mercedes, 11th at the moment. This looks like a lap as well. So Winwood bolted some new tyres on. Look at the dust here. Someone's gone straight on it, Ascari. Yeah. That's a new place to bring some gravel on. Hopefully they've kept momentum and they're not in the shot as we cut on this long straight Parabolica. Looks clear for Piana, but some time lost. Maybe having to back out of it as he approached Ascari.
Yeah, our cameraman's going to come back like Lawrence of Arabia, isn't he? Covered in sand and gravel. So it's not just the drivers having a tough time of it down there. Full mark to our camera crew, braving the stones being thrown at them and everything else. I mentioned Stolz 3rd. Thomas Drouet's Mustang up into 4th. What can Piana do? He can pit. That's what he can do.
There's a weird one. He came into Parabolica out of control, huge amount of oversteer on entry, and had a tap of the brakes mid-corner. It was almost like a problem arose early.
Okay.
They're just surprised on the lap boxing like that. Potentially he's caught a puncture early on because that car looked ill handling after a very strong start to the lap for sure.
Well, down the pit lane comes Gabriele Piana, so we can write off that lap. But we have had an improvement from Frederick Schandorf, our gravel consultant, and he's improved 34th, which means that he's 7/10 away from the top time. Piana's car doesn't look like they were expecting it. There's not much activity, really.
No, they weren't getting to work to it straight away either.
No, quite.
So maybe not a problem, but just Piana saying, I want to box and change something. Maybe he could feel the time lost was already too much around Parabolica, but yeah, that Mercedes looking hard work.
Tomo Drouet going through but not improving. Mustang 4th and 22nd now, as there is Drouet. Sorry, it was the Eduardo Cossaten car that had gone over the line. That's Drouet launching himself over the curb. But 4th, going nicely. And who else have we got looking to improve? Strangely, that wave has sort of petered out now. Patrese and Pereira have improved. Lorenzo Patrese and Franck Pereira in another of those Lamborghini Temerarios. And the session has got just 4.5 minutes to go. What can Dennis Lind do? He might be an improver here because he's done 2 personal bests in sectors. The Stella Corvette could be on for a stellar performance. It comes up towards the timing line. The timing line is at that part of the racetrack, and it's where Dennis Lind goes quickest of all on a 1:46.109, 66 thousandths of a second quicker than anybody else. I was slightly hesitating, thinking, really? But Dennis Lind has done it. He's gone fastest. 3 absolute bests in the sectors. Dennis Lind, brilliant achievement. What about that?
Insane, wasn't it? And it's been quite a long run as well. That was his 7th lap of this run. So even if there was new tyres, they weren't in their peak performance. So Dennis has found something there, able to really get going. Phenomenal lap for the Corvette. You can see the Winward team here just changing the rear brakes, maybe just bedding a set of rear discs in, but they need to get going quickly, otherwise they won't get back out before this session finishes.
Dennis Lind has backed it off in the next sector. Tomo Drouet is coming up to the line. He was down in sector 1, absolute best sector 2, and he's down in sector 3 as well. So Tomo Drouet goes over the line to stay 5th. But when was the last time a Corvette topped a session? Got to go a long way back for that, haven't we? Dennis Lind, fastest then by 66 thousandths of a second. Extraordinary job done. 3 minutes to go.
American muscle liking the Italian soil, you would say, wouldn't you? Aboard the Ford, which is running 5th, which did an ultimate fastest middle sector. Corvette having the ultimate fastest last sector as well. So seems like the power is going to be an importance here around the Monza circuit.
And Jens Klingmann coming towards us in the BMW, 12th in the times. That's the purple and white car. There it is, Jens Klingmann, another massively experienced BMW driver, and he knows all the tricks of how to win at Monza. Coming up towards the timing beam now then. Sebastian Oegaard's Audi is up to 6th out of the Silver Cup. So Dennis Lind from gold is ahead of Alex Malikin from silver, Sven Muller from bronze, Lukas Stoltz 4th now from pro, and over the line the last improvement came from Lilou Adou's Ferrari, 15th fastest, 2 minutes and change on the clock. So Corvette, Porsche, Mercedes, Ford, Audi, Mercedes, then Lamborghini. Franck Pereira up to 8th. Now, a Lamborghini 8 at this stage of the session is a little bit more realistic to build a theory around, isn't it, rather than it being at the start. So Franck Pereira, that's the Grasser car 63. That's a good effort to be 8th.
Yeah, really good, and something completely different to what we saw at any session at Paul Ricard. So the 63 plugging away at it. Nicholas Nielsen here trying to get on the flashes to get Darren Lung in that Paradine BMW out of the way. Darren not getting out the way. The bronze drivers drive their own line. It's up to the pros to make their way round, but that's a compromise now for Nielsen in the dirty air. This could have been a good lap. 17th at the moment. It's going to be nip or tuck now with this sector 3 if he's going to be able to improve. He does big lap there at the end, still with the traffic. Maybe the toe helping, so gains 10 positions. And there is our fastest car of the session so far, Dennis Lind, pushed into the box. The Stella team there will be very, very happy with this opening session of the day.
Let's see whether he can hang on in there. Others are having a go, but that's just a mega effort, and that reinforces the point we'd already made about Dennis Lind still being underrated. And you know, that's not the fastest car normally. It's a small team, smaller budget than others, but that's okay, it's one lap time, I'll grant you, but it's a mega effort. Well done, Stella. Well done, Dennis Lind. Let's see if anybody else gets close. Jules Gounon is aboard number 3 Mercedes, and he's gone 7th. And we've got less than a lap time left in the session now, just under a minute to go. Got to be brave to get yourself up to the top of the banking there. It's quite daunting to get down again, but it's a good view. Maurice Schuring now at the wheel of number 2 Porsche, 20th in the times. That was the car that topped the times right at the very start, but actually it has faded away, hasn't it?
Yeah, it started strong. Like I said, maybe they haven't used the tyres yet. We have to see after free practice 2 this afternoon exactly where everyone has gone. That will give us a better tell of where everyone's at. But the Porsche's been there or thereabouts in the mix. So I think they'll be relatively happy with their morning's work thus far. Could be the first car to take the checkered flag as well, I think, here, Maurice Schuring.
So Schuring comes through Monza just to make the point, one of these paces where the start and finish lines are in different places. In other words, the finish line is the timing line, the control line out of Parabolica, and the start line a little bit further up, closer to the pit exit. So there's the checkered flag. Some drivers taking the flag on track, others deciding to bail early, come in to the pit lane rather than do another lap round. And Dennis Lind has taken the fastest time. British GT champion of years past, GT Asia champion as well. Dennis Lind, the fastest. Let's hear from him with Bryn.
A very, very happy Dennis Lind. I mean, what a mega lap. In commentary, they're all astounded.
Well, I think you just got to catch the toe at the right times here. I mean, it's Monza, so top speed matters. And I got really lucky. I was behind an Aston Martin in Sector 1. He let me go for Sector 2. Then there was a Mercedes in Sector 2. And then an Aston Martin again in Sector 3. So it all came together, really. But yeah, like we don't have any of the fastest sectors. So it's like, you know, if you get the right toes at the right time and you put a decent enough lap together through the chicanes, then you're all right. So, yeah.
Thanks very much. I heard that Gounon's just pipped you, but thanks very much.
I expected.
Yeah, Jules Gounon has gone fastest by 28 thousandths of a second, but I mean, Dennis Lind could have conducted that interview by saying, yeah, it was all down to me, but he was quite honest. I got a toe, I got a toe, I got another toe, piece it all together. But it's even so, it's a mega job done. But Jules Gounon has gone fastest as he took the checkered flag, so you could argue normal service is resumed. Mercedes AMG at the top of the times, 28 thousandth of a second, the margin. Earlier on, I talked about the magic second and how many cars it covered. We now have 48 covered by just under a second. That is quite mad, really.
Yeah, I think Dennis's interview as well was just trying to make sure the BOP understood that there was help involved.
Right.
There was no extra weight needed for quali. We're in the right place, but yeah, fair play, Jules Gounon. We're so used to saying it, aren't we? But the Verstappen.com car takes fastest lap time and has backed out of it as we come back to pit lane at, yeah. My wish was for 50 cars within a second. We're a few off that, but again, just illustrating the strength and depth of this GT World Challenge field. 57 cars covered by 1.6 seconds.
And again, you're thinking of cars that are turbo, normally aspirated, twin turbo, front engine, mid engine, rear engine. You know, there's such a variety, and yet the BOP works to make sure everyone is able to compete on as level a playing field as can be. Well done, Jules Gounon, then. Unlucky last year, of course, the car that he was driving led the race, and that had a loose wheel, didn't it? Lucas Stoltz had to park it. That was the end of that.
Yeah, on the final stop as well, wasn't it? They were looking really strong, but yeah, they're in a good place right now. Is that Charles Dawson walking away, I think, from the 2C's car, the sister car to Jules Gounon here. Mercedes quite fluid, aren't they, with the teams that run the car? The Verstappen.com car at Nürburgring was a Winward car. Yeah. Here it's a 2C's car. Maxime was in the Winward team. Now he's in the Get Speed team. So you have to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of which Mercedes is where. But 2C's will be very happy with their Verstappen.com car finishing fastest.
And Get Speed is a team that's sort of chipped its way up the ranks of the Mercedes customer teams, hasn't it, as you look at the order. So Jules Gounon fastest, with Dennis Lind second and Max Hofer third. So Pro from gold, from silver in the top three. The fourth fastest time was done by Maxime Martin. Fifth, right at the very end, Christian Cronjes, and sixth, Nicholas Nielsen. Seventh was Sven Muller. Eighth, Lucas Stoltz. Ninth, Fabio Scherer did that. Sorry, no, Tom Adre did the time. And 10th, it was Sebastian Oegaard in another of the silvers. The best of the bronze, courtesy of Sven Muller. But you can see the tiny, tiny gaps that exist all the way through the order. Number 7 then in the end, even though they got up to second, fell back down the times. 13th for Nicky Team. And another improver towards the end was Ben Dorr, up to 23rd in number 23 McLaren on the same time as Tom Fleming. So Jules Gounod, the fastest. You can see there the end of the 57 times. The slowest, oddly, was the Callum Williams, Javier Sagrera, Ahmed Al-Hafi BMW, but I'm sure there's more to come from that. Right, Jules Gounod then tops the times. Nina Jade Paul is with him. Let's hear from the quickest man of the morning.
Jules, the margins are so tight out there. We had 48 cars within a second. You got the fastest time right at the end there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got out of the car, just trying to focus on getting a better race car for quali and for the race. This morning is closer to the temperature we will face in quali. So we try different things with the team, and the car feels good. So a very good job, to be honest, from the team so far. And let's see what's going to happen later on.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jules Gounod, all smiles, of course, dovetailing not only all of these GT3 drives for Mercedes AMG, but also WEC for Alpine, and there's a big race coming up in a couple of weeks' time to focus attention on. So well done, Jules Gounod then, the fastest lap of the session, and we'll see the cars out on track for more free practice later on in the day, qualifying tomorrow in comparable temperatures. And that also is going to be split because of the number of cars on track, but we'll worry about that when we get to the qualifying session tomorrow. Join us later on for free practice. It's a busy day though at Monza with GT4 as well as GT2 and also McLaren Trophy. But at the end of free practice in GT World, it's Mercedes AMG as top dog.